touchdown Tampa Bay. You're listening to the PewterCast.
Welcome to the PewterCast Awards nomination show. Ren, it is my favorite time of year as far as this podcast goes. And this year is bound to be a very, very special one for a number of reasons. One of those reasons being, Ren, this is also the time of year where we celebrate your anniversary here as host of the
Oh, that's
PewterCast.
right. Yeah. Yes. Same thing as last year. Is that what I got?
Pretty much.
Yeah,
No,
cool.
you're getting a promotion this year, Ren.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
you're getting.
How about instead of a raise, I give you a title?
Right, and full control of everything. Speaking of which, Ren this week has taken control of the Twitter account. That is no longer me, that is him. And I got to tell you, Ren, it's really weird for me.
I bet.
Just being completely honest, it's so weird.
Yes. Yes. The tone has changed slightly. I think I should probably change the password from the one that you know it is to, just in case, like, if I start to get controversial about something.
Oh,
I
promise. I am out of that. It's you running that ship now, brother. That is all you. And have at it, man. Have at it. So
I'm looking forward to the tweet from your personal account that says, just to let everyone know, a quick reminder, I do not run that account anymore. So, and then of course you'll tag me.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff coming out. If anybody does want to go find me, my stuff's right here at Brent Allen Live over there on social media, across all the social medias that are out there. But anyway, Ren, we've got some stuff to do tonight, man. I am pumped. I love this show.
You do love this show.
I probably love it more than I ever should, more than is anywhere near reasonable for a human being to love the show. But I just did of like all the things that have happened. This is the one that's just sort of, I don't know, I guess like my little baby, you know?
Yes.
That I love. So, and this is the 5th year. This is the 5th annual PewterCast Award show. This is the 2020 edition, and I'm excited. You want to know why I'm excited, Ren? Because this show, what?
I was
should say yes because that's what I should do.
Oh, he's continuing on. Of course, yes, please. Enlighten.
The reason I'm excited is because this is a show where this show sets benchmarks, I think, for us every year. The first year we got over 1,000 votes. It was 1,134, if memory serves. The second year, we more than tripled that number up to 3,600 votes, 3,649 to be exact. Then I stopped counting exact votes because the next year was 13,600.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then last year was over 22,000 votes that had come in. This thing has been scaling up. And this year, especially after a Super Bowl win, with as well as this season has gone, I am really, really excited to see what's going to happen in terms of the votes and people who are going to get out and vote. And we've got a whole new, the categories are mostly the same from last year, but it's a whole new slate of people on these categories by nature, but still and
you pared it down a little bit. Thank you very much.
A little bit. Didn't
there used to be like 19 categories?
I went back and listened to the first show we did for the very first one. There was 18 categories. 18. Tonight there will be 11. There's only 11 categories.
The best Buccaneer that has a 2 on his jersey under 6 feet tall.
Right.
Who's your favorite Buccaneer?
Right. So with that, so anyone who may be new, anybody who may be joining, well, first of all, unbeknownst to me when I scheduled this particular nomination show, I forgot that it was Valentine's Day altogether.
As did I.
So happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And if you guys are watching us, welcome. And for those of you listening to this on the podcast feed later, I hope you enjoyed your Valentine's Day.
Yes, and a special happy Valentine's Day to my love, Cheryl, for being so understanding and letting her know that Valentine's Day dinner will now be canceled because I have to go do a pod.
Yeah.
She was very, very happy.
My significant other is at work this evening.
Yeah.
So that one made it easy on me. But wow, I'm sorry to you told me that
I'm
right
kidding.
before we went on.
I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. We had dinner and everything. It just got moved down, got moved around a little bit. But yeah.
Sure.
No, but she was very understanding about it. So I just like to give a special, dedicate this next song to a special lady.
There you go. Thanks, Cheryl. Appreciate it.
She doesn't listen.
But it's in the ether out there.
Yes. If someone sees her on the street
and they listen to this show, they go, "Hey, Brent said things." We'll get back to it. It's at the hair shop, Ren. Everything gets back to him at the barber shop or the beauty shop. Anyway, for those of you who are new to this show, for those of you who maybe just joined, this is an award show, and this is different than a lot of podcast award shows. Podcast award shows are a staple in the podcast community. Usually it's just the host saying, "Hey, here's a category and here's who I say wins."
Right.
That's not the way this show works. This is an actual fan voted form that you guys get to go out. You can fill out. You can vote as many times as you want, which is awesome. And you guys can go out there. You can vote. You can vote your people up. And at the end of the whole thing, we'll tally the votes. We'll tell you guys who won. We'll have a big award ceremony show. And they're actually going to receive an award. For those of you that are new, you don't know, this is what it looks like if you're watching the YouTube feed. And if not, follow the Twitter feed because Ren will maybe tweet this out. I don't know. But they receive a football trophy like this. We call it affectionately the mini Lombardi. The mini Lombardi, or some people like to call it the Pewty.
Yes.
The Beauties.
The trophy itself is a mini Lombardi. Because if you're not watching the YouTube channel, it looks exactly like a Lombardi trophy, but it's about, 6 inches high?
7. It's 7.
Excuse me. Pardon me.
Yes.
It's 7 inches high. But the award show itself, I think it was Pinnacle, wasn't it? Who named it the Pewties?
I think it was Pinnacle. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Brent hated that, but it stuck somehow. The show itself is the Pewties, but the award is the mini Lombardis.
There you go. And to answer the questions that are floating around in the chat room now, if anybody chooses to take their mini Lombardi, their Pewty, and throw it from one boat to another, I will not be offended.
But you didn't make it, or you weren't related to someone who might have made it at one point.
Well, that is true. You don't know. You don't know if I didn't make these.
No, I do know that you didn't make it.
It's fine. You do know that I didn't make it. Anyway, go deep, Ren.
I'm open, Dub.
So people get that
but and hook at the car.
Right. And they'll get a letter explaining it. And this does make it to the players. You remember those first couple of years were like, I don't know if this actually makes it to the players. Yeah. And turns out it does. Our contacts there at the Buccaneers have been really great over the past couple of years, making sure those get out for that. One quick shout out before we get into the nominations and go through, because Ren, you haven't even seen this.
Oh, okay.
Like you haven't. So one quick thing. This is not just me and Ren kind of sitting down and going, okay, this is who should all be in there. Trying to keep this as sort of above board as possible. There's actually a nomination committee, and that committee changes every single year. And that committee is made up of a group of people. It's made up of 2 credentialed media people.
Mm-hmm.
It's made up of 2 non-credentialed media people. So that would be, YouTube podcasters,
someone who follows Akeem very closely.
Right. So you have those 2 aspects of it. And then there's also 2 just fans that whose voices we've come to know over the years and trust.
Mm-hmm.
So we're representing that segment. And then Ren and I get a vote or a nominee each because we're the host of the show. So we're the only 2 who stay the same year after year after year. But that's the group of people. And I don't release the name. People are going to ask, hey, who was it this year? I don't release the name because I don't want that to affect the integrity of how people are nominating. So to those of you who were part of the nominating committee, and you know who you were, thank you so much. It was a help. And frankly, when I go in, like, I don't put any emotion. Like, I don't pick and choose what wins. It's whoever gets the most nominations. They're the ones who get nominated. And that's how it goes. And you guys just have to, I guess, take my word for it. That's how it works. With that, I will say, as I go in, because I know some people have asked me about this, when you see the nominees as I list them out, like, I've sort of shuffled those up, so there's no like, this was the guy who got the most, here's the guy who didn't, and on down the line. Like, I've shuffled those up, so you can probably make your guesses. Now, Ren, tonight we're gonna go through these. You haven't seen this list. I've only seen this list over the last like maybe 2 hours since I've compiled it all. And you'll be talking, a lot about, who you think might win. And we'll talk about the merits of each person on the list, because everybody, I think, you could make an argument for just about everybody. And there's a couple of categories where if it's not this person, I don't know how that wins, but I can see why it might be somebody else. So we'll be going through those and just sort of sharing our thoughts and what we've learned over the years. I used to be like, oh, that's just going to bias people, and people are going to vote however people vote. Like, the way you and I talk about it right now, I don't think affects that a whole lot. So
I have huge persuasion over the masses.
Well,
that's why we have won podcast of the year every single year.
Every year without fail. Yes,
without fail. Without fail.
That is true. Kyle Driver sends us in a super chat. Thank you, Kyle, all the time, and very, very much appreciated. All right,
I am well.
And we are well.
Now,
thank you.
I wasn't a little earlier.
Right.
I don't know if you heard, but it's Valentine's Day.
Ren's in a little hot water tonight. So couple of changes for this year. Actually, there's only one big change. This year, for all of the award categories, there are 6 nominees. Kind of broadened it out. Last year, I think there was only 4. A couple of years ago, it was sort of hodgepodge all the way around. I broadened it out to 6, a little more competition. The nominations were spread a lot more evenly this year. So there's only, I think, 2, maybe 3 categories where it's either up or down, just because of.
Yeah, one category I only sent in 2. Nominees.
Right. Like, there were some categories that didn't have 6 different nominees for it from the nominating committee. So that'll just be what it is. With that said, I know that a lot of people out there there's some people who are watching and going to this because they want to know if their name is up for it. So there are 2 big sections to the awards show. There's the first 3, which are more centric to our community here at the PewterCast. It'll be one, it's our show. So we give out an award for the PewterCast Guest of the Year. Yep. And that will be everything is from the 2020 season. Now that could go back to training camp or maybe even a little bit before, but it's in this time frame over the course of the last 9 months, 10 months, something of that nature. So those first 3 will be there, and then the rest of it really will be towards the team, and you guys will see how that goes. So, Ren, you got anything you want to say, or you want to go ahead and get into it, and let's talk about some nominees?
Did I mention what day it is?
I forgot.
It's Sunday.
Sunday.
So
Sunday. All right, first category.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's do it. First category, PewterCast Guest of the Year.
Sure.
Ren, this is one that has a few more extras to it just because of the nature of the show. Yeah, because turns out we had, I didn't realize this until I started putting this list together. We had we had 21 different guests over the course of this past year.
That's remarkable.
That is remarkable because it didn't feel like we had that many.
Yeah, since we quit doing that show altogether.
Right.
And then the show we replace it with, we quit doing halfway through the year.
We still had them though. They still, like, I know that's what it seems like, but it was 21 different people. Wound up paring this down to 8. And this is one that I sent, because this is the one that just you and I did. We didn't put this one out to the committee. That wouldn't be fair to them. They wouldn't know our show well enough. So this is one that just you and I did. Here are the nominees, Ren, for PewterCast Guest of the Year. Casey Phillips, team reporter for the Buccaneers. Greg Allman of theathletic.com, David Harrison of the Locked On Bucs podcast, Big Nasty, Hall of Fans inductee class of 2020, Ralph Phillips and Molly Bay of the Bucs Observer podcast, Stank Bastard of the Loose Cannons podcast, Joey Knight of Tampa Bay Times, and Jay Retcher of WDAE.
Trying to think which of one of mine didn't make it, or did they all make it? I don't know.
Yeah, you're the one. All the ones you sent me made it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we were for that. Like what I did was I asked her in for 6. I said, "Here are these. Give me your 6." You and I were in agreement on 4, and so I put your 2 in and I put my 2 in and just called it 8 because I couldn't. Yeah. I just couldn't.
Yeah,
flip it back and forth. So anyway. But yeah, it was a good slate of guests this year, Ren. And I think it really this one, by the way, is in order of appearance, how they appeared throughout the course of the year.
Right.
It's the only one I think that's actually in order. Casey Phillips was a fantastic interview. I think it's the first time she's ever done an interview like for one of us.
It's been we were the first one. Yeah, we were the first one to get her. It's been a while since I've come away having a conversation with somebody and being like feeling that impressed by them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like your respect level for them had jumped.
Yeah, it's like, well, I really like that person, you know? So that was one that I voted for. I'm sure you probably did too, to get him on the list. But Casey's going to be, if you've heard that episode, if you haven't, you should go back and listen to it because all the things that she does for Bucs, social media and Buccaneers.com, it just kind of gives her journey from where she went from how she started out in high school. Like she had 2 jobs in high school, both paying. One was like with the Wizards, and then she goes on to Disney, then she goes on the Rams, and she goes on to the Bucs. Like she's sort of just had this charmed rise to the ranks. But man, like her work ethic was great, and her life decisions, even at a young age, were awesome. And it was also something that we didn't like you said, we were the first person to get her. So you didn't no one knew really a lot about her. And I loved her story about how, if you don't know, if you haven't listened to her, here's a little insight to it, that she was an AAU basketball player. So those are like the really good kids that travel around. And then when she got to Mizzou, I believe it was, she had to decide, she could have played basketball, and it was, do I play basketball and follow my journalism or broadcasting degree? Or because she didn't want to kind of split. So she had made the decision where she wants to go all in on her broadcasting degree and gave up basketball. And she would go to games and watch the games. And one of the girls who started behind her in AAU started for Missouri.
Right.
So she could have been a starting player at the University of Missouri. So to get her frustrations out, she would go down to the quad and play pickup games with the boys and try to embarrass them. And that would make her feel better. Like, I loved that story about her.
If you didn't bring that
That's
up,
how she processed
I was going
it.
to bring that up.
Yeah, I love that story.
If you didn't bring that up. That by the way, that episode was called From Lunch Menus to the NFL. And you guys go back and listen. That was way back, I think right as training camp kicked off. So it's kind of back there in the feed, but it's well worth going back and listening to. Also, we had Greg Allman. He was on for the show where we talked about what the changes were going to be this year with COVID. Particularly as regards to the access we were going to get from the media and how that was going to affect our season coming up and how we hear about the team. We also had David Harrison, who joined us for our very first Buck in the News show this year.
Yep.
As a guest. Big Nasty came in. If you guys remember last year, he got inducted we had him for the Hall of Fans. We were trying to get him pushed over into the Hall of Fans.
Right.
We finally had the induction ceremony. And so we got to hear the second half of that whole story. That was cool. We had Ralph Phillips and Molly Bay, Bucs Observer podcast, which was it was cool to get to know them. Like I'd never met them before. I'd listened to the show, but I'd never had a chance to interact with them. And
they were great.
They were really great. Stank Bastard over at Loose Cannons, when he comes on, who's just always a blast.
Love me some Stank.
Yeah. And then 2 new guys, Ren. Joey Knight, brand new beat reporter for the Buccaneers from Tampa Bay Times. And then your guy, one of your top 10 people, Jay Retcher, WDAE.
Yes. I'm glad he made it too. I wasn't sure if Joey or Jay were going to make the list, but I'm glad they did. Joey, of course, Joey Knight from the Times took over for Edward Arancina, who moved over to the Lightning. So he's the second. He would be the hook of the 1-2 punch of Stroud and Knight that cover the Buccaneers for the Times. And then, of course, Jay Retcher, who has been mostly behind the scenes for WDAE, the local sports station here, for a few years, and someone who's kind of been a legend in radio around here. He was at rock stations before, and I think he was like 20 years at WDAE, maybe more. And I remember listening to him when I was like 8, 9, like on the rock station 95 YNF, the Rock and Roll Pirates, which is a pretty cool logo, by the way. So Ron Diaz, he retired, and Jay stepped into his place, and it happened like almost right after we had him on. And I put him on my top 10 list, Jay Retcher, that is, because I thought, of all the kind of sports minds at WDAE, the way that Jay looked at sports and talked about sports, he was my favorite. And he came on the PewterCast, and good things happened to him.
There you go. See, it's the magic charm.
It's the magic charm.
So we finally, Casey Phillips decides to come on the show.
And now
the
she's
Bucks
president.
Win the Super Bowl. Jay Retcher comes on the show. He gets a promotion. Joey Knight came over and on the show after he got his promotion. But hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right?
Almond wrote a book.
Almond wrote a book after coming on the show. That's right.
For sale at CVS.
Is it at CVS? I'm looking to
get
he
tweeted out a picture. He's like, "This is really cool." Like he's just standing in line at CVS, and he looks down, and there's his book, like at the cash register.
No, I missed that tweet. Nice. Yeah,
That's gotta feel pretty cool, though, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, yeah, I'm getting a packet of pens and some cheese doodles, and oh look, there's the book I wrote on sale.
Look at that. I'm gonna buy a copy of mine. I have a box at home, but I'm gonna buy one anyway.
Autographs out front, $2. This is me, by the way, everyone. This is me.
All right, so that is our category for PewterCast Guest of the Year. It was just a great lineup of guests we had this year. To everybody who was a guest, thank you guys so much. It makes what Ren and I do not so boring
or tedious.
You're right. It adds so much more to the show.
It's free content.
And so
I think we do a good job in bringing on people that can answer the like Greg was the guy. Like, okay, Greg, like COVID, new CBA, like you're the guy who's gonna have all the answers,
right?
So tell us what's going on, please.
Right. All right, PewterCast Guest of the Year. All right, let's move on. Next category. This one's a little bit of a change from last year, Ren.
Okay.
Historically, this is the Bucks Podcast of the Year. However, it's no longer just podcasting out there that's sort of the thing. It really has expanded into a lot other different places. So this year it is the same category, but it's renamed Bucks Content Creator of the Year. This could include podcasts, YouTube channels, Twitch streams, animations, all of that sort of stuff. This is an expanded category for nominees. And the nominees are this year. By the way, I want to say one little side. I told the nominating committee for this particular category, if you have particularly a credentialed media creator who's out there, this cannot be their main thing that they do. Like for Pewter Report, it can't be pewterreport.com.
Right.
It could be their podcast though.
Right.
For Rick Stroud, it's not going to be his articles with Tampa Bay Times. It could be the Sports Day Tampa Bay podcast though.
Right.
You have to be creating, content in this particular way. So anyway, Bucks Content Creator of the Year. The nominees are the Pewter Report podcast, the Loose Cannons podcast and YouTube channel, Mr. Bucks Nation YouTube channel, the Locked On Bucks podcast, our very our very own the PewterCast.
Were you going to tell everyone that I didn't vote for us?
I was not, but I was also going to say we almost didn't make this list. That just goes to speak of how many great content creators there are that are out there.
We did not deserve it this year.
We
didn't.
Yeah. There's a lot of good ones out there. There
That's why
really is.
That's why I didn't vote for us.
I understand. But we also did some things that we've never done before and move forward, and people put us down. And then Ren, there's a new one. So this more than one person threw this in.
Okay.
And I thought it was fantastic. The Buccaneers in-house content team.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's
like,
why the nominating committee works. Two different people said that, because they make what in the current show and then all the all that stuff that they put out. The Buccaneers in-house content creating team, which I think is led by Carmen Vitale.
No,
someone else altogether.
Carmen and Scott work for Buccaneers.com.
Right.
And I don't think they'd be up for this episode, for this particular.
Right. Yeah. I don't know who this award would go to.
It would go to people like Jill or Casey.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe it's Casey. Yeah. It could be. But Casey does a lot of stuff. But
like Jill and their graphics department and their social media department. I don't know all their social media department. I know Jill Beckham's like, I know she's a big part of the social media department.
Right. She runs their Twitter account. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're tweeting with the Buccaneers, you're tweeting with Jill. So, yeah, it's, I don't know who it would be. I don't know a person, but that department, the Buccaneers in-house content team, was real interesting. So anyway, so yeah, those are the things. Pewter Report, Loose Cannons, Buccaneers in-house content team, Mr. Bucks Nation, Locked on Bucks, and then us.
All right.
Are the categories. First year for Mr. Bucks Nation. I was glad that, to be frank, he was probably the reason that I chose to expand this category, because even last year, because it was just podcast, and he's like, but I'm not a podcast. I'm like,
yeah, we know.
He's got good stuff. Right. And there wasn't enough to separate it out and just be like, hey, here's the YouTube channel people and this and that. So that's why it's out. But yeah. So
yeah, I voted for James this year.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have that. And I mean, the guys over at Loose Cannons, I mean, my God, those guys have been really tearing it up. Pewter Report's got a whole new flavor this year with their podcast and moving more into the YouTube channel type stuff, like what we've had. Just a lot of great content all the way around.
Yeah, and they just copy whatever we do. They do. It takes them a couple years to catch up, but they copy everything we do.
There may be some texts that go back and forth between me and the team over there.
Okay.
But anyway, but I mean, especially with the stuff that Ledyard's brought to the show.
Yeah, and then they're going 4 times a week. There's Mr. Bucks Nation. Okay, there he is in chat. I'm gonna pull that up. I can't tell if he's crying or what he's doing.
Finally, there he is.
Finally, yes.
That's tears of happiness, I think, is what that is.
Well, you can drop out of chat now, James. Yes, you've made it.
And James, you can go stump for it all you want. Send all the voters over.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
With all his viewers, he'll be could be a landslide victory.
Yeah, James got he's got 1 million viewers over there now, and
got a haircut. Got a haircut.
Right. James, do a video on it, man. Do a video on the PewterCast Awards and the history of it and why people should vote for you.
I missed his fan reaction thing.
What do you mean?
When how you send in a little 20-second video for his fan reaction.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I missed that. I got it late one night, and I'm like, of course I didn't. I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. No, of course I was kidding. Would you do this? I'm like, no, absolutely not. And I'm kidding. And then the next day I ended up getting busy and kind of forgot about it. And I saw it late that night. I'm like, okay, I'll do it early in the morning. And when I woke up, the video was out, and I was like, oh, oops, sorry, James.
Yeah, I sent mine in, and the video I sent him was 2.5 minutes long. And I probably recorded it 8 times trying to get it down because he asked for 20 seconds. And I went, I don't know how to do it. And he's like, it's fine, I'll cut it down. It'll be fine. So, and he did. And I was okay with him editing my stuff. Anyway, moving on. It's just a private joke, guys. It's a joke. All a joke. Moving on. Wrapping up this category of sort of this section of categories of things that are non-player stuff. Back again is Bucks Media Personality of the Year.
Okay.
Now, Ren, our guy Trevor Sikkema over at
3-time champion, wasn't he?
He's won it the last 3 years in a row. and he's not
He
up
might
for
win it this year too, because
It's
he left.
possible.
Lightning win, Rays go to the series, Rowdies win their division, the Bucks made the playoffs.
There you go.
So yeah.
Bucks made the playoffs. Bucks won the playoffs.
I think if Trevor ever deserved one, it'd be this year.
There you go. So anyway, this is the biggest difference here is this is the section for the credentialed media and their core content and what they put out. And the nominees for this year are Carmen Vitale of Buccaneers.com,
nice.
Greg Allman of TheAthletic.com, John Ledry of PewterReport.com, Rick Stroud of Tampa Bay Times, Jenna Lane of ESPN, and Scott Reynolds of PewterReport.com.
Interesting list.
Yeah.
The big dogs. John stepping into Trevor's spot, I think.
Right. I'll be interested to see if this skews towards John the way it has towards Trevor the last bunch of years. Like if it's really
I think it will be because he fills the hole that Trevor left. Sort of like the analytical side and the film breakdown and knowing what you're talking about and knowing what you're looking at. He's not like a columnist, and he's not like, this is, at 2:13 in the second quarter, they ran the ball off the left-hand side for 3 yards, like, classic reporting. But I think he does it better than Trevor did. And that's no offense to Trevor.
They're very different. It's so easy to say, like, John is stepping into Trevor's shoes, but John's a whole different thing than what Trevor was. You know what I mean? Like it's a whole different beast with John there now.
Yeah. So, they've stepped up and gone 4 times. They're going to go 4 times a week all season long with their podcast.
Are they doing that through the off season too?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hats off to you guys. Well, actually, but anyway, that's tough, guys. But they get paid to do this full time. So.
They do. So, but yeah, that's a tough list right there, man. With Jenna and of course Stroud and Greg. Who are, of those 3, when anyone gets to ask questions, like those are the first 3 people to go.
They are. And I got to, just for my own sake, I think Greg Allman's reporting this year has been like top notch. Top of the game with everyone. I don't know what it was that he did to be able to write that book. Like why he was the one who got chosen to do that, or
he did it with someone else because it's produced because it was made by The Athletic.
Oh, it's made by The Athletic. Okay.
Yeah, and the Times has one with Stroud's coming out very soon, and I think Sports Illustrated just came out with one, and Jenna's in that one.
Is she? And then I've got the one here from our last Super Bowl. It's sitting right behind me over here. Scott Smith wrote this one, so I'll be interested to see if Scott writes the new one for this.
Yeah, year. And the Buccaneers will put one out for themselves. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so those are. I wonder if it's to be Scott and Carmen, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, there's Carmen. Didn't even mention Carmen. Of course, you can't forget about Scott Reynolds.
Right. Absolutely.
The best running back scout the Tampa Bay area I've ever seen. Every running back he tells the Bucs to draft ends up being like a Pro Bowler.
Really?
We never draft him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've told him that to his face before.
Yeah.
I'm like, they need to talk to you about drafting running back. Like he was all over Kareem Hunt. He was all over Kamara. He was all over Gibson last year. Antonio Gibson. He finds. I mean, if it was easy to do, like that year when everybody went, it was like McCaffrey and Fournette and Elliott and Barkley. Like those guys are easy. It's the day 2, day 3 guys, like rounds 2 through 4.
Right.
Those guys that he finds. And they always end up hitting, man, for somebody besides us.
Right. Well, we'll see. Especially if this offensive line can continue the trend it's been having here lately. We'll see what happens. All right, Ren. Well, let's switch over to this is the section of categories that really is going to have to deal with people, within football operations of the organization.
All right.
And the first group, though, is not actually going to be players, because this group is time for Coach of the Year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the nominees are, surprise, 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 Bruce Arians, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, Casey Rogers, the defensive line coach,
Interesting.
Kevin Ross, the defensive backs coach.
Also interesting.
And Joe Gilbert, the offensive line coach.
Thank God.
I know. I wonder who Ren voted for.
Well, he was my fourth nominee. Like, yeah. I really wanted to kind of dive.
I will say this: Joe Gilbert got a lot of nominations.
Good. Yeah, I wanted to sort of dive into the coaching staff and get some people out there. But after winning the Super Bowl, like, you can't, like, and then the way they won the Super Bowl, you cannot not nominate Todd Bowles.
Right.
And then I think the Bucs averaged like 230 points since the bye week with Byron Leftwich, and was like first all time in scoring in team history. Like, so you cannot nominate him. Right. Then you just won the Super Bowl and you can't not nominate the head coach. Right. So I had to make a decision.
There were some people who didn't nominate the head coach.
Okay, that's fine.
You know, but I will say both Byron and Todd Bowles were like across the board. Like everybody on the nominating committee put those two guys in.
Good, yeah.
But Bruce wasn't, oddly. And then these other guys sort of filtered in. But yeah, Gilbert had quite a few. I mean, all these guys had more than one nomination. Nobody made it in on one nomination.
No, Keith Armstrong.
No one for Keith Armstrong. Yeah, and there were other coaches that were nominated. I'm not going to say Keith Armstrong wasn't nominated. He just didn't get.
Nobody nominated Keith Armstrong.
You're right, they didn't.
Yeah. Anyway, did what's his name get any? Goodwin, Harold Goodwin.
Maybe.
Okay. You're not giving out the names. I mean, okay.
No.
All right. I forgot how secretive you were about these. Now the frustration is all starting to build up and come back. I'm like, oh yes, now I remember.
Right. Anyway, but these guys aren't. But I mean, obviously the head coach, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. But you're talking about Joe Gilbert, with the offensive line, and I mean,
yes.
I was looking at this and just it sort of struck me as I was putting this together tonight of going. Remember when it was George Warhop?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Oh my gosh, he should be in here just because he's not George Warhop. And look at George Warhop. He was the holdover for Cutter's staff from Lovey's staff, and I mean, look at what he's done with this offensive line. He had at least 4/5 of it fixed last year, and fixed the other 1/5 of it at some point this year, at least halfway through, being Donovan Smith. So. I mean, you got to give hats off to the offensive line, but
every single player in that entire offensive line has trended up, has gotten noticeably better under Gilbert, except for Dotson.
Right, and Dotson was only here for 1 year.
Right, last year.
Old.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. But yeah, I mean, think about the steps Cap has taken since Gilbert came on board.
Jensen's hit his potential.
Jensen, yeah, and I mean, Allie was like already playing at a top level, and he's gone even further.
Yeah.
And so you have that on the other side of the line, though. I mean, our defensive line this year, and I know Casey Rogers is going to deal more with the interior guys, the Vita Veas, the Ndamukong Suh, the Nachos, McClendons, and those guys. But I mean, when you heard that Kansas City's both of their starting tackles were out and they had a hodgepodge offensive line, like all year long, whenever you heard there was offensive line trouble for the other team, we're like, our defensive line's going to eat them up.
And then they didn't.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they no, but I mean, particularly when Vita came back, though, I mean,
yes,
what they were able to do that allowed everything else to happen.
Yes.
Right. So, and we still shut down the run across the board this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, hats off to him. And then Ren, I mean, you have talked about how you think that Carlton Davis might be the best cornerback in the league. Is that what you said?
No, I called him. What did I say? I go, he's definitely top 10, maybe a top 5. He's the best cornerback on the team.
Right. Well, yeah, for sure. Did you say he was future Hall of Fame?
I
made a very outlandish claim for him, for me anyway.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly what it was earlier this year.
It was so outlandish when the Chiefs game happened, you decided to shoot me a snarky text about how dumb I was.
Oh, that was the first Chiefs game, not the second one. The first. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do remember
yes.
that.
Yes. I have not gotten a oh, I was wrong text back. But yes.
Anyway, all of that being said, our cornerbacks coach, defensive backs coach, Kevin Ross. I mean, and by you look at with that young secondary, we talk about it all the time, right? Yeah. Such a young secondary, S&Bs and Jamel Deans and Carlton Davis.
They've had their ups and downs. But again, they trended like they did last year. They were trending up.
Yeah.
Really good. Exactly. And the one thing, and and this goes a little bit to Bowles as well. And it's something I haven't got to talk about. And now we're a week out of the game. I kind of want to get this out here before I just kind of forget about it and becomes, it's a little bit time sensitive. Mm-hmm. But what I enjoyed most about the way the defense looked against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl was that there was no palms up. Remember when Cutter made it slip in a press conference when because you see Vernon Hargraves do this with his palms to the sky. It means I didn't get the call. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. What used to frustrate me during the year with Todd Bowles defense is the offensive line was set up and the offense was set up and they were ready to hike the ball. And the Bucs linebackers and nickelback were still in a little huddle behind whoever's playing nose at the time, still trying to make the calls. And it was just late setting up all the time. And it used to drive me crazy. And if the other team wanted to quick pitch them, quick hike them, they could. But they just waited till they got into their set so they could call the mic. And so that used to drive me. But the Super Bowl, they were ready, man. And all the eye candy that, the Kansas City Chiefs do in the beginning to scheme guys open and sort of get guys lost and things, they had an answer for it. And they didn't look confused at all. When one guy moved, another guy would move. And it wouldn't be like they're just following him. If a guy went from one side and took 2 steps inside, one corner would go up, one corner would go back, and a linebacker took a step to the left. And it was like, oh, okay. And it happened throughout the entire game. Right. A guy would come in motion. Sean Murphy Bunting would go up and play on the line. The guy would turn around and go the other way. He'd drop back off. It was just right. And, they had an answer for all the eye candy and there was no guessing. Everyone knew their assignment every single play and it really showed.
Right. Yeah, it's gosh, what a job these coaches have done, certainly. And it's hard to argue anybody.
Keith Armstrong.
He did good with Suck Up.
It is coach of the year. It's not coach of the Super Bowl.
It is true.
Or 2 playoff games.
It is true. And it was, let's face it, it was Suck Up. So he could make his kicks.
He was making them before he got here.
He only missed 3 kicks the whole year.
I think so. If you don't count the blocks, which I don't.
Right. Yeah, they shouldn't be counted. All right, let's move on. Next category then that you guys will be voting for this year's 2020 PewterCast Awards show. A little category we call the Step Up Player of the Year. Now, this was really designed to be a category that was to talk about which player made a significant contribution to the team, including but not limited to somebody actually earning a starting spot. This really was for if something happened to a starter, or maybe it was a backup player or a depth player, maybe even a special teamer who really, stepped up. They stepped up when they needed to. This is a next man up type
almost
of league.
Like an unsung hero.
Kind of, but this wasn't that category either.
Yeah, I think a good way to describe it is when the season started, that person's role has expanded since then, and they've done it really well.
Right. So, with that being said, the categories are Leonard Fournette, running back. One of our nominating committee said playoff Lenny, not regular season Lenny, but I couldn't separate that out. Leonard Fournette, running back. Scotty Miller, wide receiver. Mike Edwards, safety. Ross Cockrell, defensive back. Aaron Stinney, offensive line. And Rakeem Nunez Roches, defensive line.
Those are all good ones. You see in the chat, a lot of people are playing for Stinney, but is his, what was that, 4 games? Is that body of work going to be good enough because it is a player of the year category.
It is. But when it came time, I mean, because when Kappa went down,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it in the Washington game?
I don't remember.
I think so. Stinney only came in for those 3 games, I think.
It was just 3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, but when he came in, he held his own. Like there was a couple, especially in that first game that he was out. Like I think he's the one who let the sack through first on his side. But I don't know how much of that was attributed to Tristan Wirfs being next to him, or being between Ryan Jensen and Tristan, or just him being able to hold up his own deal. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Stinney was certainly, I think he's very deserving of at least being nominated in this category overall. But Ren, I want to personally talk about my guy, Leonard Fournette, the guy coming in to take Rojo's number 1 spots. And
so he shouldn't actually. There we go. Playoff.
Thank you, James. Playoff Stinney. There we go. I like it.
So he shouldn't actually count because you had him in as the starter coming in.
I did not have him in as the starter.
Yeah, you did.
No, I did not. I had him in as the person to take the starting job.
You put him in the Ring of Honor. Isn't that what you said?
Oh my God. No.
I'm pretty sure I sent a little text message about you when.
Guys, Ren is full of it, just so you guys know. If you haven't been around for the last 5 years with this guy,
okay. I'm the exaggerator. Okay.
Yes. Anyway, Leonard Fournette is on there. Yeah, but I mean, you talk about a guy who, I mean, let's face it, Leonard Fournette struggled for a lot of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in the Super Bowl, I was still tweeting, feed Rojo, because when Rojo came in, he just hit so hard and run so hard. I still barely understand why they went with Leonard Fournette so much through the playoffs. Like because Rojo got hurt, he had that.
I don't understand.
You don't understand why they stayed with him so much through the playoffs?
Fournette?
Yeah.
I don't understand why he was starting. I think their role should have been flipped whenever possible.
Rojo should have been the starting guy, and Lenny was the guy to come in and spell him.
Now the Super Bowl, it looks like they were flipping series for series. Because I'm pretty sure that's how it went. Because it was like Fournette, Rojo, Fournette, and then I kind of lost track of how they were doing it.
I did notice those first couple of flip flops, and yeah, you're right. I didn't pay attention too much after that, but they went with him for whatever reason. I don't get it.
But you can't argue with it either.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with for sure.
Except that Rojo looked great too. He just didn't have the 2 touchdowns.
Right. So Rojo, but all that to say, Fournette.
I thought we were talking about your boy.
Yeah, but Leonard Fournette really did step up and made a huge contribution. So he's there. Scotty Miller, kind of like he was kind of the number 3, right? And then he sort of got pushed down when Antonio Brown came in.
Well, I mean, he was leading the team in receiving yards when Antonio Brown came in.
Was he really?
Yes.
Wow.
And then, so he stepped up because Godwin and Evans were hurt. And then he stepped up again by not being a big crybaby and let Antonio Brown take all his snaps.
Yeah.
And then he stepped up again in the Green Bay game and and made a big catch in the what was the game before that? He made a big catch in the Saints game. So so yeah, I can definitely see why Scotty Miller's in there.
Yeah, he was a 6th round pick 2 years ago, I believe. Is that right?
I don't know.
I think he was 6th. I could be wrong.
He was definitely drafted.
Definitely drafted. Yeah, not an undrafted guy. Mike Edwards coming in as a safety.
Another great pick.
Another great pick, absolutely. Ross Cockrell is a defensive back.
He's made some big plays.
Did he? Because this was the one that I was kind of like, I don't know about that, but okay.
Well, BA talks about him all the time. I shouldn't say all the time, but he will talk about Ross Cockrell as like one of the best free agency pickups or that they had because the way he plays. And when the defensive backs were struggling in the middle of the year, when we all started to be like, SMB can't be on the field anymore, and now Jamel Dean's starting over SMB on the outside. Well, that doesn't look like it's doing good anymore. And then then like Davis got hurt. Cockrell came in and was a steady hand on the wheel. Was a solid tackler. was always where he was supposed to be. Like, he didn't knock down every ball, and he didn't, like make all these interceptions, but he didn't give up any big plays either. And, if you got 11 guys like that, you can win a lot of football games. So I can understand Cockrell being in there.
There you go. This was, I will say, for the people on the nominating committee who are like deep dive film watchers, those were the people who nominated Ross Cockrell. Like kind of across the board. So, that's where I sat back and go, they must have seen something that I didn't, as they followed that. Cause I'll watch film every once in a while. I don't religiously do it, but, yeah. So anyway, that's our step up players.
I think we're going to be a victim of, not circumstance, but when it happens sooner, or it just happened, what do you call that?
Bias?
Thank you. Recency bias. I think Stinny's just going to blow everyone out of the water on this one.
So. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I don't want to get out of here because I don't want to short this guy. Nacho, Raheem Nunez Roches. Nacho, listen, when Vita Vea went down, we all went, and he stepped in. Now, he's not Vita.
No.
He is not Vita.
No.
He's not Vita in the way that Kevin Minter is not Devin White. But when duty call, he performed.
Still had the best number one run defense in the league.
Exactly. Absolutely. And, when Vita came back, Nacho was still out there rotating in quite often. He didn't become a bit player at that point. He was still very much a big part of that. So, hats off to him and very deserving to be in this category. So I'm excited to see how that one shakes out. And I hope it's not just recency bias. If Aaron Stinney deserves it, then I hope he wins it. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right.
All right. Next category. Ren, this is an old category with a brand new, shiny new name.
Ooh.
We used to call it the unsung hero. This year, we're calling it the impact player of the game. This is for the player who has made, we'll say, the biggest contribution to the team with the least amount of fanfare. The guy who comes in and just doesn't get all the accolades, but man, they're huge pieces of the team. And the nominees by the nominating committee are Aaron Stinney on the offensive line, Donovan Smith on the offensive line,
no,
Alex Kappa from the offensive line,
nope,
Ali Marpet from the offensive line,
wow,
Jordan Whitehead as a safety, and Ryan Suckup, the kicker.
Yeah, this is blowout number 2 on the board. I think the way you described it, I don't think that's a starting offensive lineman award. Now I can understand if you wanted to like get some offensive linemen in because they deserve some votes, this would be the one to do it.
Sure.
But I don't think you can hold a candle to what Suckup did.
It's going to be tough.
It's going to be real tough because there's no stats to compare them against.
And I'll tell you what, there's not a special team player of the year.
Right.
Because if there, that's an almost impossible category. It really is.
Yeah. You just give it. Yeah. Unless you have a punter who like broke the league record for pinning people inside the 5.
Right. Or a long snapper who,
no, we have to have this amazing gunner, amazing returner, which is really, really hard. Then it just goes to field goal kicker, no matter what kind of year they had.
Exactly. So that's why I think we used to have a special teams player of the year, and we took it away because of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Ryan Suckup is in here. But I think these are all, you talk about people who made it with the least amount of fanfare. I don't know that Donovan Smith really fits in this category because Donovan Smith has had a lot of fanfare. Might have been negative fanfare, but he's had a lot of fanfare over the year. But we have also
talked about player.
Yeah, we have also said though that Donovan Smith's play over the last really half of the season, would you say, Ren?
Yeah,
has really come up. Even though Donovan's like, oh no, I'm just playing the same way I've always been playing. Like, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
And here are the stats to prove it.
Yeah, but I think you look across that. Ali Marpet, Alex Kappa.
Ooh, that's an interesting stat if it's true.
What is it? Suckup is the first player to be the last pick in the NFL draft to win a Super Bowl. I have heard that multiple times.
I have not.
Mr. Irrelevant event of whatever year he got drafted.
I knew he was Mr. Relevant. I didn't know he was the only one to win a Super Bowl, though.
Interesting. He might be the only one who ever actually made a team. No, that's not true. But maybe it did. No. Anyway. Impact Player of the Year. Those are the nominees.
Do we have a category for, like, who's going to be quarterbacking the team in 2022?
No, because this is about 2020 season.
Okay.
And by the way, if for anybody who's wondering, the playoffs this year, including the Super Bowl, while being played in the year 2021 on a calendar, are still a part of the 2020 season. So that's why this is the 2020 awards. In case anybody's wondering, some people have asked me that over the years.
Really?
Yes. It, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did not win the 2021 Super Bowl. They won the 2020 Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like the last Super Bowl we won was the 2002 Super Bowl, even though it was played in 2003. Anyway, just pointing that out. And I say that to say that what we did in the playoffs does factor into as part of the season. All right. Free Agent of the Year. Let's move on to that category. Free Agent of the Year. This is the one that is going to the free agent acquisition that is signed during the 2020 league year. You know who's not included in this list? By virtue of not being a free agent?
Gronk.
Yeah, because he was a trade, not a free agent. That's okay. He didn't get as much nominations as he would have needed to crack the list.
Well, good, because he's not free. He shouldn't have got any nominations.
Actually, this is one of those categories that only this was pretty unanimous across the board
there's not that many.
Free Agent of the Year, the nominees are Leonard Fournette as a running back.
Boo.
Ryan Suckup, place kicker.
I can't believe he's going to get 2 Pewties.
Antonio Brown, wide receiver. And Joe Haig, offensive line.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Are you telling me Tom Brady didn't make the list?
And Tom Brady. Sorry.
Wow.
Yes, Tom Brady. Sorry.
Jesus. I'm like, you didn't. I'm like, did I forget to put Tom Brady on the list?
Sorry.
Holy cow.
He was at the top of the list just because it's where he fell. And like, I skipped over him.
Yeah, for suspense.
Trying to put the suspense in there. Yeah, no, Tom Brady. Tom Brady. It's Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Ryan Suckup, Antonio Brown, and Joe Haig, rounding out the free agents of the year.
Yeah, pretty cut and dry.
Do you think Joe Haig has any chance in this category against Tom Brady?
No, he would have got some sympathy votes if he actually would have held on to the ball.
Right.
But everyone's just mad at him because he took Vita's touchdown attempt.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, it was a great call because Vita was in the game, and if you're going to pull a trick play, you'd probably pull it with Vita because you've seen it before.
Right.
And they pulled it with Joe Haig.
Instead, yeah, it's a good call, and it's one of those, like, if it would have worked, it'd have been amazing.
Yeah, it did work. It was just a good play by the linebacker, a very good play by the linebacker.
Yeah. Free Agent of the Year. You said you can't believe Ryan Suckup's going to win 2.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's any possibility people like won't vote for Tom Brady just
sure
because they know he's going to probably win at least 1, if not 2 other awards?
Sure. I think Suckup will get some votes. I think he'll break double digits. Because
10, 12 votes.
No, I mean percentage wise.
Okay.
Yeah. And who was it? Antonio Brown and Haig.
Brown, Ryan Suckup, Haig, and Leonard Fournette.
Fournette might get some too. Yeah. Because the people who vote for offensive player and MVP, like Brady could get 3 of these.
Right.
You know what I mean? Assuming that he's on the list. So yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Make a prediction, right?
Oh, it's make a prediction. Excuse me. I think.
No, I was talking about whether or not Brady was going to be on.
Offensive Player of the Year and MVP. Yeah, he might be. I don't know.
Hey, that's something we haven't talked about, and we've done this both ways in years past. Let's talk about it after the show. We'll talk about it after the show. Sorry.
Sure.
Not a conversation for life.
Hey, we're going to manipulate the voting behind the scenes.
No. It's just rules by which we're going to play. Anyway, go
ahead.
So yeah, those guys. Well, before we get to all of that, how about one more in this other category? Rookie of the year.
Yeah. I think this is one I only sent in 2.
You did only send in 2.
Because I couldn't think of any other one.
This only had 4 entrants on the nominee committee. And one of them only because I asked everybody to send in 4 nominees. Like for all the categories, that's what I asked for, was 4 nominees. And like most people only put 2 or 3 names. One person put 4 names, and I'll let you guess which one was the 4th name that one person put in. That being said, Rookie of the Year, Tristan Wirfs, offensive line, Antonio Winfield Jr., safety, Tyler Johnson, wide receiver, and Keyshawn Vaughn, the running back. Those are the nominees for Rookie of the Year.
I debated going back and forth and putting Tyler Johnson in or not. But I figured, like, I'm just, it's like voting for Ross Perot. It's like you're just throwing your vote away.
I mean, this one's really a 2-man race, right?
Oh, yeah. That's why I only put in 2.
It's a 2-man race, to be frank with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a 2-nomination race.
Right.
Yeah. Wirfs is going to get this by a landslide because people think he deserves, which he does, but it's because he didn't get a Pro Bowl and he didn't get any votes for Offensive Rookie of the Year for the NFL, for the league votes. And
But I think also when we look, and you've brought it up a few times tonight, when you look at the idea of an of the year type award, Antoine Winfield Jr. had an amazing start to the year.
Had an amazing finish too.
And had an amazing finish.
Yep.
Tristan Wirfs was amazing all year long.
Yeah.
There was no stuff in the middle for him.
Yeah.
So, anyway, good stuff there. And Tyler Johnson, Keyshawn Vaughn, honestly, neither one of them got anywhere near enough playing time to
exactly
come close to winning this award. But it's up to the voters. If the voters all band together and pull for Keyshawn Vaughn.
Remember, Ross Perot's vice president was Admiral Stockdale. I forgot about that. Wow. Was this before your time?
I remember Perot, but I was young enough to not even be aware of who the other person on the ticket was.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Oh, I forgot about that. I wonder what would have happened to America.
I don't know.
That was a funny little dude. I mean, Trump didn't burn it to the ground. I mean, how bad could Perot done? I mean, it's still standing. You know what I mean? I mean, it did.
Let's move on. We're not going to bring that into this.
No, I don't want to talk about Trump. I was just like how bad could a Perot could have been?
Right. All right, Ren. Let's get to the 3 big awards of every year. The 3 big awards of the season. First up, Defensive Player of the Year. And the nominees
I'm interested to see these nominees. This was kind of hard. I mean, only putting in 4 to be nominated.
Right.
So I'm interested to see who makes it and who doesn't.
Nominees are Jason Pierre-Paul, outside linebacker. Devin White, inside linebacker. Levante David, inside linebacker. Carlton Davis III, defensive back.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Antoine Winfield Jr., safety. And Shaq Barrett,
yes,
outside linebacker.
Yeah. And then we still left off Vita Vea, left off Sue.
Both received nominations, by the way.
Yeah. I guess you can't really make an argument for anybody else. But still 2 guys you can make an argument for.
Sure.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah. Defensive player. I mean, I don't know. Do we need to go through the accolades again? I think we all get it, right?
I think that Shaq and JPP are going to have a tough time against Levante David because everyone loves him. And again, he got shunned for awards. But so did White. And White had such an awesome playoffs. Like, I have no idea what clicked in his head in zone coverage, but he played almost perfect football. So once he got back from COVID, those last 3 games, he was awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Mhm.
And then who else do we have in there?
JPP, Devin White, Levante, Carlton Davis III, Antoine
Carlton
Winfield.
Davis, no shot whatsoever. But I'm proud of you for making the podium,
Hey,
son.
he got a lot of nominations though.
Good.
He really did. He was a big one. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this one shakes out, particularly between Devin White and Levante David. Fun fact, Ren.
Yes.
Do you remember who is the only person in PewterCast award history to win 4 awards on the
1
night?
year.
1 year.
It was either Mike Evans or Levante David, but I think it's Levante David since we're talking about him.
It's Levante David, absolutely. And actually, he was the first one that ever like snapped a picture with the awards and sent them back to us.
Yes.
So
he did not seem very thrilled at all, but we got it anyway.
Levante seemed like Levante.
Oh, you know him so well. He wasn't angry. He was very nonchalant. I think he's like leaning up against the wall and his foot's like up against the wall, like holding it, and he's holding it down way by his knee. It was kind of like, Levante, we're taking your picture.
It's amazing how you and I can both look at the exact same thing and interpret it in 2 completely different ways.
Like right and wrong, you mean?
If those are the terms you want to put it in, sure.
Well, how would you put it? I mean, me saying that he wasn't whatever I said, I can't remember now, was obviously a stretch. But you know, it wasn't like the picture we saw today floating around Twitter with Mike Evans hugging Lombardi.
It is true. It was not.
Didn't you get a letter from Dirk Cutter?
I got a letter from Dirk Cutter. I got a phone call 1 year from he was the coach of the year last year.
It was a linebacker.
The guy who replaced, not last year, 2 years ago, replaced Mike Smith.
Yeah,
after Mike Smith was
fired. What was his name? The linebackers coach who became
yeah,
DC.
Yeah. He actually called me, which was cool. Yeah, that's about all the feedback I've ever actually gotten from the team. And then we got the picture from Levante.
One hotly contested picture of Levante.
Yes, Duffner. It was
Duffner. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blake.
All right, moving on. This one's going off the rails, so let's get into it. Offensive Player of the Year.
Bringing
it in. Would you be surprised to learn that Tom Brady is on this list?
I would not.
Tristan Wirfs, offensive line. Ryan Jensen, offensive line. Ali Marpet, offensive line. Rob Gronkowski, tight end, and Mike Evans, wide receiver.
3 offensive linemen? Okay. Wow. A lot of big guys in the voting committee this year, or
no?
The nomination committee?
No, actually, just me. Come to think of it.
Well, it would be hard to put, like, you know, I think Mike Evans kind of makes it on reputation. He did get 1,000 yards, but barely. You know, he had more games. Not
because they pushed it for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, AB wasn't there long enough, didn't make enough plays. Chris Godwin got injured. They didn't use him a lot. There's a lot of times when the game plan didn't go through Godwin or go through Evans. And then he had that streak of, you know, deciding not to catch the ball for 3 games during the playoffs. Can't give it to a running back. Gronk deserves to be there. He had a very strong second half of the season. Worse, obviously.
Yeah. But could you argue that Jensen and Ali don't? I mean, think about the years those 2 guys had.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to talk myself through. When I heard all these offensive linemen, but now I'm talking myself through it. It's like, well, I mean, no receiver really deserves to, you know, win it, so why nominate him? Type of deal.
I mean, it's almost like this is the opposite side of having so many weapons. Like, who are you going to go to? Like, no one particular weapon was overly highlighted throughout the course of the season.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the Mike Evans show. It wasn't the Chris Godwin show. It wasn't the Cam Brake show or the Gronk show. You know, it was so many people to go around. So, offensive line. But I mean, you said it earlier. Ryan Jensen finally met his full potential. Like, we saw what we all knew Ryan Jensen could be.
Yeah, I think
Ali Marpet just went up to a whole nother level. Tristan Wirfs there. for obvious reasons.
No, I'm with you in the committee on this. It's just when I first heard it, I'm like, what?
Right, I know.
You know.
3 offensive.
Yeah. Offensive player of the year. 3 offensive linemen are up for the category.
Yeah.
It's like that year the Academy went all independence and like Fargo won, for like best picture.
Right. So that is our offensive line. I'm our offensive players of the year. Ren, I'm really curious. Given the discussion of the last 2 categories,
yes,
how are you going to feel about the nominees for this year's overall player of the year? This one encapsulates the entire team, front or back, or defense, offense, whatever. Obviously, this is going to be made up of a list of really the past 2 categories.
Yes.
And the nominating committee chose. Would you be surprised, Tom Brady as the quarterback?
I would not.
Tristan Wirfs, offensive line.
I also would not be surprised.
Jason Pierre-Paul, outside linebacker.
Surprised.
Levante David, inside linebacker.
Not surprised.
Devin White, inside linebacker.
Not surprised.
And finally, and I'll remind people this is no particular order, Carlton Davis III, defensive back.
Really? Yeah. Did I vote for him? I didn't vote him for player of the year.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't honestly don't remember who voted for him, but he was the guy.
Ahead of like Evans, ahead
Marquette,
of
Godwin,
and Shaq.
I will say this particular category was probably it was at least a dozen people deep.
Yeah.
Maybe 13 people deep. These were just the people who got the most nominations. And but I mean, Allie was there. Ryan was there.
No
Jensen,
Gronk.
Gronk was there.
No Scotty Miller.
Scotty Miller might have been
I think I put him down for my offensive player of the year because he was leading the team in receptions or yardage before he got benched, and I thought he deserved it.
There you go. So Tom Brady, Tristan Wirfs, JPP, Carlton Davis III, Levante David, and Devin White round out player of the year.
So when Tom Brady wins 3 Pewties, do you think he's gonna invite us over for a photo shoot, like him and on the boat? We'll be like on jet skis and we'll just toss the Pewties around in a circle, like a hacky sack.
Absolutely. And I am not wearing a shirt.
Probably gonna make you wear a life vest.
Maybe.
You might want a special order that. You want a special order that now.
I float.
That's true. What for? I'm like Jaws. I could take down 3 barrels. Oh wait, no, the opposite.
There you go. Well, Ren, that's it. That's the nominees across the board. I will let everybody know if you guys are interested. Voting is now open.
Dub put in Ghosts of the Year. LaShawn McCoy.
Oh,
I thought
how would you do that? Who would you put if you had that as a category? LaShawn McCoy, Keyshawn Vaughn,
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah.
Khalil Mack. Not Khalil Mack, sorry. Khalil Davis, Khalil Mack. Ryan Smith. Gerald McCoy.
Somebody asked where his award was, so
yeah. Well, he was, he was all sniffing around the Bucks all year. Once they started winning, didn't hear a thing.
He tweeted a lot.
Jay Watt, that's a good one. Just send Tom all the Pewties. Thank you, David. Yeah, I'm looking forward. Like, should I start picking out my outfit now? What we're gonna do with the photo shoot with Tom?
Listen,
we should hand deliver them.
That'd be fun. I would drive down to Tampa to come around and do that.
Yeah, too bad he's out of town.
We'll get a video and we'll video like the whole excursion, and we'll have James put it together as a video and put it out there. We'll go up to Tom Brady's like house and like we'll hit the buzzer box. Yeah. We got an award here for Tom. Is Tom home? We got something to give him. It's a little package.
Candygram. Special delivery from Bill Gates. It says something about a genetic reboot. I don't know.
There you go. Well, Ren, voting is now open. You guys can do that at www.thepewtercastawards.com. That'll take you directly to the form. You can vote as many times as you like as you guys go through that list. And please go do it. Please let your friends know. and come back and vote every day, multiple times. Like just vote, get your guys in there. And Ren, one thing that's different this year as it's been in the last couple of years, we're actually only giving people 2 weeks this year. In previous years, we've done 3. This year is just 2 weeks. The award show, the final award show, will be held on February 28th, which is
Valentine's Day.
Well, not Valentine's Day.
Galentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. There you go. But yeah, we will be out there on February 28th. We haven't discussed time yet, Ren, but I would imagine probably 9:00, about the same time. But February 28th, you guys go and you can vote really pretty much all the way up until like the night before, I think, is when I'll have to close it off just to be able to calculate everything. But it's open, fans. Listen, this is your chance. This is your chance to go out there and celebrate this team in a way. Listen, for the first 4 years, this was always a little bit of a weird show because we'd end like 5-11, and you're like, "Well, we're gonna go celebrate all the good stuff we did this year."
Exactly.
It was kind of the consolation prize.
Remember year 1, we had like what was it?
All the Razzies. Yeah, we're not doing those.
Yeah, but what did you call it? It was just one award. It was like most underachieving or something.
It was the least valuable player of the year,
and it was Doug Martin. And you sent it.
And there was 4 of them. I did not.
You didn't send it to him?
No, I was not sending the bad ones to the players.
Oh.
And I said it was just fun. We were just looking to poke fun, and it turned out mean. And I'm not a mean person.
It turned out mean because everyone's like, "This is the person I'm most mad at because they sucked and told me they were going to be good."
There was biggest disappointment of the year. There was least valuable player of the year. There was, I forget what the other 2 were, but yeah, there was 4.
Worst Instagrammer of the year. Dumbest tweet of the year.
Right.
Biggest practice loafer on the team.
Right.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So you guys go vote. The PewterCast Awards. This is your chance, guys. You're the ones who are going to make this happen. And I got to tell you, Ren, I have a goal. I have a goal right now. I would love to see 50,000 votes this year.
Okay. Yeah, you're going to be busy.
In 2 weeks. 50,000 votes, folks. We can do it. We tripled it from year 1 to year 2. We tripled again from year 2 to year 3. From year 3 to year 4, we didn't triple it, but we're up over 22,000 votes. Come on, guys, we can do it. We can double it this year. Get to 50,000 votes. That would be amazing. Would love to see that. And you guys make sure you join us. February 28th, 9:00. Ren and I will be right back here. We'll be actually giving out the awards, telling you guys who won, who you guys voted for, our fellow fans, for this year's list of mini Lombardis here at the Pewties. Ren, you got anything you want to say? And otherwise, tell people where they can get in touch with you out there on the internet.
Once again, the place to vote is at www, just 3 W's, .thepewtercastawards.com. Like Brent said, you can vote as often and as much as you'd like. If you're stuck and you need some help, feel free to reach out to me. The best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football. And as we talked at the top of the show, I am also now running the PewterCast. What is it? Twitter? Yes. At the PewterCast, Twitter handle and Instagram. Do not look for me on Instagram right now. So yeah. So if you want to reach out to me, talk some football, or get some ideas about who to vote for, please feel free to reach out.
And if you guys want to get in touch with me, you find me at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. And Ren said that's the show is at the PewterCast at Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. Email us to thepewtercast@gmail.com.
For some reason, since I had it, like I didn't think that you can still say it. Let's start all over. Best place to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football.
If you guys want to get in touch with me, find me Brendan Allen Live across all the social medias. And the show is at the PewterCast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can email us at thepewtercast@gmail.com. Go vote. Thepewtercastawards.com. Go vote right now. People are already voting, Red. They're already getting it in there. So you guys go do that. And we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. And until then, go vote.
Micro Machines.